So I did a video a couple days ago, and a commenter had said, had they ever searched for Naziah? Now, with us being pretty much thrown into this case, we hear Shannon, and she says that she, had Jarvis put a missing flyer on his Facebook page, but that's not a search. So the question was, was there any searches done? So I looked at some videos that I'm going to share with you guys that were pretty much days and even weeks after Naziah had gone missing.
Yeah, well, first let me start off by thanking members of the Detroit Police Department, our homicide team, our missing persons team. I also want to make sure I thank the Southeast Dive Team and the Mutual Aid Strike Teams for helping us in our efforts today. The goal, of course, is to bring some closure to the family, to identify where little Naziah is, and that's what we're here for today. You all are very familiar with this case with regards to when she came up missing, but I will highlight it. On January 9th, she was last seen at 3 Mile Drive in Cornwall. On January 10th, the family made a missing report to Detroit Public School Police Department. On February 12th, we met with DPS PD. At that time, I made a decision to take the case over. On February 13th, we got deeply engaged in the case. And our investigative efforts have led us to where we are today, searching this area based on some evidentiary information that we have identified.
Can you talk about this search today and all this coordinated effort? You've got so many agencies here.
Yeah, we've got our local, state, federal partners, the Southeast Dive Team, all at the table assisting us in this search. We've got our own dive team from Detroit Police Department here. Oakland County Sheriffs are here. Wayne County Sheriffs are here. Just a tremendous partnership and effort, all with the goal of bringing some closure to the family.
Chief, this is now the third body of water, I believe, that you all have searched. Is there anything you can tell us about tips that you guys may have received that led you to this, or if this has become a recovery effort at this point?
Well, we get a lot of tips. As you can imagine, our Detroit Rewards TV has provided us a number of tips and other sources, debriefing suspects and things such as that. There is something very specific about this area that we want to take off our list, and that's why we're here today. Unfortunately, as time goes on, it does start to look more like a recovery effort. We're prayerful that that's not the case, but we know how these things unfortunately play out, and there's certain aspects of the case that I am not prepared to discuss right now. That's given us some very serious concerns that it could lean towards that way. But if anybody has any information, knows where she's at or seen her, please let us know so we can investigate all aspects of it.
Chief, could you say if there's a person of interest related to the disappearance?
Well, we have a number of people that we are talking to and looking at. I don't want to classify them as a person of interest yet. We're very concerned about some of the things that they may know about the case. So we're going to be making sure that we debrief them and talk through everything that they know, when the last time she was seen, who the last people she was with. And the case is ongoing. I mean, they have worked tirelessly on this case, 24 hours. We've got investigators under our homicide unit, under our missing persons unit, that have been working tirelessly on this case. So there's a lot of moving parts to it. There's a lot of information and quite a bit of evidence to go through to make a determination on where she's at and who's responsible for it.
We did see the dive team, I believe, got out of the water a little bit ago. Is the search still ongoing for today at this location? Yeah,
it's going to be ongoing for a number of hours. It's a very complex process that they use. They basically take the body of water and grid it out, and then they go through certain parts of the grid, eliminating that grid as where she could be, and that's scheduled to go on throughout the day.
Are there any particular challenges that you guys have been running into while you've been in Clinton Township and Bruce River and here today?
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness the weather's cooperated, so they're not dealing with ice and things such as that, at least on the top levels. But they've run into some literal log jams and things such as that they're working through. And as you can imagine, in this type of environment with the water and debris and things like that, but they're professionals, and this is what they train for, and this is what they do. So we don't anticipate anything not being checked as a result of some problems. But we'll certainly update you if something changes.
Appreciating you may not be able to talk directly about what led you to here in Clinton Township. Can you talk about the timing? Meaning, was this relatively new information and you guys are acting on it? Just wondering about the time lapse and the why now the past week, I guess, if you're able to share.
Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, I mean, you've been around a long time. There's a very complex part of the way we investigate cases, and new information is timed out based on what we need to do at a particular time. And I mean, it's an ever-evolving process, so it wouldn't really serve me any benefit to give you the interior workings of the investigative process, other than to say that this is a very important area for us to investigate. Now is the time for us to get here and investigate it, and we're going to continue until we bring her home one way or the other. All right, thank you very much.
Harris stepped off her school bus and disappeared.
Now her family is still waiting for answers and renewing their pleas for someone to come forward with information.
Naziah was last seen back on January 9th at the intersection of Cornwall and 3 Mile Drive.
Now, the primary suspect in her disappearance is a registered sex offender currently being held in the Wayne County Jail.
Well, 7 News Detroit reporter Ryan Marshall is live at the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice in downtown Detroit, where the family will gather for a vigil later this morning. Ryan.
Well, guys, the family of that missing Detroit teen still seeking justice in this case. That includes Naziah's biological father, who exclusively spoke with 7 News Detroit. He is fighting for his own life, but is holding on to find his little girl.
I know the family hopes and prays that she is still alive.
Correct.
But if you get that phone call,
that's why I'm getting back in the ministry.
48-year-old Mervyn Jennings is Naziah Harris's biological father. He says he's tried to reconnect with his daughter for the past 8 years. Jennings says he was only reconnected after 2 Detroit Public Schools police officers tracked him down.
When the last time you been up to your daughter's school? I said, my daughter's school. I said, I don't even know what school she go to. I said, I've been looking for her. And they looked at each other, and I was like, what's going on? They said, your daughter's missing.
He's dealt with serious medical issues in the 8 years away from Naziah. Jennings has congestive heart failure. He says in April, doctors gave him only 7 days to live. While that prognosis has slightly improved, Mervyn needs a new heart. While dealing with those difficult health challenges, Mervyn says what really hurts his heart.
I believe my daughter was pregnant. Yes.
He says much of the family thinks Naziah was being sexually assaulted by a man who is a convicted sex offender. We're not naming him because he hasn't been officially charged in the case.
Oh, my God. They're like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. You know, what's done in the dark, it's gonna come. It's gonna come. You can't do this. You can't do this, man.
And get this, Mervyn also says that he talked to Naziah's older brother, who says that registered sex offender has been molesting her since she was 12 years old. They are holding out hope that Naziah will come home alive.
Just don't stop.
The family of Naziah Harris needs each and every one of us right now. Her father, Mervyn Jennings, is holding on to hope that he will see his daughter again, but it's been 10 weeks.
Yeah, there have been numerous searches, and yet they are no closer to bringing 13-year-old Naziah home. Here's Pamela Osborne.
13-year-old Naziah Harris, an 8th grader at J.E. Clark Preparatory Academy, is still missing. She was last seen on Tuesday, January 9th.
They came up to see me at the hospital. They asked me some questions about my daughter. Have I seen her? And I haven't seen my daughter.
Naziah's father, Mervyn Jennings, had been in the hospital for weeks recovering from a stroke and other health issues when he learned of Naziah's disappearance from school investigators. We know Naziah went to school that day. She rode the bus home to her usual stop at Cornwall and 3 Mile.
They have, footage of her getting on the school bus, and the bus driver did say that she did get off at her regular stop, okay? And she was supposed to have been coming home like she normally do.
Back in February, we spoke with Annette Harris, Naziah's maternal grandmother and guardian. She reported Naziah's disappearance to Detroit Public Schools Community District. Their police department launched an investigation the very next day, on January 10th. More than a month later, after hitting a roadblock, they notified Detroit police of Naziah's disappearance. That was February 13th.
A 13-year-old girl in Naziah.
DPD got to work immediately canvassing the East Side community where Naziah lived and was last seen. It would be the first of many major searches.
I would describe as a metropolitan scavenger hunt. You know, the searches have been everywhere.
Tamara Smith, the DPD commissioner from the district where Naziah went missing, helped us put pins on a map. Investigators from more than a dozen local, state, and federal departments have searched all over the city of Detroit, Clinton Township, also in and around Ann Arbor.
We've been heavily canvassing the area by Greater Grace Church, area around the Rouge River, outskirts of Brightmoor.
Specialized water rescue and recovery teams have assisted in some of the searches, while the net of concerned community members pitching in to help find Naziah grows wider.
We had active gang members, people who are deemed to be the worst of the city, who were viciously out looking for her, passing flyers out, going door to door, canvassing. We all want the best. We want to see Naziah home in the living.
Mervyn suffers from congestive heart failure but is out searching himself every day he's well enough to, with his wife Nakia by his side.
It's just been very trying, taxing, and empty, but we're not going to stop.
They have been so moved by all who have turned out to help, especially since Naziah's disappearance has caused a rift within the family.
You have moments in your life where you do think you're standing alone. And without anything, they come through. They come through and they there.
Naziah's family is still waiting and wondering what happened to her after she got off of her school bus.
I want to see her again. You know, my son, my daughter wants to see her again.
Pamela Osborne, Local 4.
Happened to her in the time leading up to her murder.
Tomorrow morning, the case moves to Wayne County Circuit Court, where the man accused of killing her, Jarvis Butts, will be arraigned on murder charges. Our Sean Lay has covered this case since his arrest, and tonight takes us inside the case. Sean?
3 names to remember here. Zion Foster, Detroit teen. There was a search for her right at its very Lenox Township landfill. Now, Ashley Elkins, there's a search going on for her right now at this same landfill. Naziah Harris, there was not a search here at the landfill. A chief investigator on that case is also here, however. There's a search for her Metro Detroit wide. Let's focus on Naziah Harris right now and catch you up on the things you did not know about that disturbing case. Detroit should never forget the name Naziah Harris. Now, just take a moment and look at the last photo taken of this child. Naziah Harris was a child. She was 13 years old. Study her face. Look at the light in her eyes. Naziah took this final photo of herself at school January 9th, 2024. She was never seen again. Prosecutors believe she was pregnant. She was brutally murdered. The child's body has never been found. When charges were brought, Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy highlighted this photo in a heartbreaking way.
She is smiling and waving and saying hello. But little did she know that she was really saying goodbye.
The next thing Detroit should never forget is how 36th District Court Judge Aaliyah Sabri at a hearing last week called out many adults in Naziah's life, saying they also failed this child.
From what I have heard over the last 4 days and 5 days total is that several people failed her. I don't know where her mother is. I don't know anything other than that she was forced to live in a home where she was not protected or given adequate attention and love.
But Judge Sabri went further about how family members and Detroit also failed this little girl before she even mentioned the name of the man sitting in front of her, Jarvis Butts, the man at the center of a 5-day hearing. Bit by bit, prosecutors here worked to connect the dots that Butts allegedly abused Neziah over a long period of time sexually, allegedly controlled her life. Prosecutors say Butts got Neziah pregnant, and the judge said she believes all of the evidence shows Butts allegedly tried to abort the pregnancy himself. But the judge says she believes Butts injured Neziah and then murdered her.
He intentionally killed her and tried his best to cover it up.
But without finding Neziah's body, investigators focused on Butts, and they had to find his cell phone. Butts told police he had nothing to hide and told police to go through his phone.
Things in my phone, y'all have possession of my phone. Take a look at it, go through it. So I don't know what that's about. I don't know why she said.
Apparently, Butts was right. There was nothing linking him to abusing or killing Neziah on his cell phone, but that's where Detroit police data experts dug in, expert after expert detailing in court how they extracted all of the deleted material from his phone, his web searches, how to abort a pregnancy using antifreeze, and then the thousands upon thousands of text messages he sent to Neziah. Detroit Police Sergeant Shannon Jones and her team got those deleted texts, and for hours, Jones read hundreds of those texts in court, text after text showing a 42-year-old man in complete control of a 13-year-old girl.
He sends her a text that says, "Are you naked yet?" She replies to him and says, "No, I don't want to get naked." She replies, "Are you mad that I didn't get naked?"
5 days of this preliminary hearing, Butts was hunched over behind his lawyer with a mask on. I watched him for 4 days. He never looked up once. Jarvis Butts, the last person prosecutors say who was with Neziah. The final person, the judge says, who failed Neziah Harris.
And while I mentioned other people that failed her, Jarvis Butts, you are the monster in this whole picture.